Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of like a cult. You don't really understand why people affiliate with it at all, but once you've been indoctrinated, it becomes quite fun. So, hello everyone, I'm Ojamajestic, and today I will be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly sides of Yu-Gi-Oh! But since it's my first video, it only seems fair that I give you guys a little bit of background. So, I played the games when I was young, just collected some cardboard as well, like everyone did. But around 3 years ago, I got pretty deep into it, and ever since I've been going to locals pretty often. So I think I have some fair grounds of giving critique about Yu-Gi-Oh! And let's start with this critique where everyone starts. The new player experience. It's not good. Even though I love this game, I'm never going to recommend it to any of my friends. And that's a pity, but why won't I? Well, for me there are two main reasons. First of all, the game just doesn't have enough easily accessible resources for new players. And second of all, it's too complex. I really do think these two things intertwine, and I hope my explanation will show that. So let's start with the former. The tutorials of Duel Links and Master Duel just are not enough to prepare new players for a real game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Anno 2024. And I also don't think they'll ever be able to do that. Of course, they'll show you all the different summoning mechanics and what spells and traps are, but they won't prepare a new player for a 15-minute Fire King Snake Eye combo. That's in sharp contrast with other card games like Magic the Gathering, for example. Since I know the basics, if a friend of mine hands me a deck with a 2 to 3 sentence explanation of what it does, I will be able to play it pretty adequately. It won't be perfect, but I won't need a 20 to 30 minute long combo video just to get it. And sadly, that is the case for most Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks nowadays. I really don't think we can expect new players to want to go through all that trouble to play a silly little card game. And that's just built into the game as well, because it's an archetypal based, really interactive game with no mana system and no rotation as well. So because of the archetypes, every deck is quite unique. It has its own combos and points of interaction that you need to know to play it well or to play against it well. Because it's so interactive, it's a lot different than other games like Hearthstone, for example, where you just play a turn and your opponent plays their turn. And that can be quite intimidating. Same for the mana system and no rotation as well. Because there is no mana system, your hand is just pure gas and interaction and you just need to go off. And because there is no rotation, there are just so many cards that can just show up at any moment. These are all things that I really love about the game. And I do really think they make the game unique. But I also understand that they make it really difficult to get into. And of course, there's still the elephant in the room. Mucho texto. And this isn't just me being illiterate. A horrible side effect of playing this game, which leads to a multitude of things, like secret effects, for example. No. I would argue that the novels that are printed on each and every new card really aren't necessary, and they just lead to incomprehensible games with incomprehensible endboards. And that's not even talking about how the cards are worded. It's like a whole new language with the commas and the semicolons meaning different things, and if and when clauses, as well as some other rulings. Like, damn, some people would argue that this is the real skill expression, and I would argue that you don't need a PhD and some speedreading skills to play with cardboard. Of course, at the higher echelons of play, you really should know all that minutia, and I agree with that, but still, incomprehensible board states really don't need to exist. They just lead to people asking their opponent, what does your board do, and needing to trust them blindly because there's just too much text to handle. And I really don't see why that's necessary. So I think we can all at least somewhat agree that the game is difficult to get into. But what about playing it? Is it any fun? Well, that depends on who you ask and when you ask him. I don't think the game is for everyone. The comboing, followed up with the board breaking and making your own board, can feel really fulfilling to some. While it can also feel like win the dice roll or lose while watching your opponent play solitaire for 15 minutes. This is partially caused because we don't have a mana system and we don't have mulligans. These two things really combine to losing your illusion of play. You won't even get the chance to play your cards sometimes because your opponent's board is that good, even though you might not have had a chance to win either way. And that just kind of feels bad sometimes. Besides that, I also don't think every format is for everyone, because maybe this format just doesn't have the gameplay that you like. And of course, the last factor, the cost. Within paper play, the current tier of 5 really showed that cost can be a limiting factor. With Snake Eyes variants often costing 4 digits, people are just priced out of the game. It's also one of the reasons why I started going to more casual locals, because I don't want to sell my left testicle to be competitive for a format or two. But weirdly enough, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is also going in another direction, with great reprints with the rarity collections and some great structure decks as well. It's become much cheaper to start than when it was when I started. Getting all of your staples is pretty easy to do. Back in the day, maybe you could have gotten one Ash for 15 euros, and now a whole playset might not even cost you 1 euro. And when looking at official clients as well, Master Duel has pretty fair monetization while also being a pretty sleek client in itself. So I think while the format might be bad, we might be heading into a great direction. Maybe I'm just being too optimistic, but I really hope Konami wants to follow the second path more. But only time will tell. Besides these things, we do also have one big problem most people don't really want to talk about. It's us, because why the fuck do they need anti-smell rules at official tournaments? And why do they really... Why do they need to censor armpits? Like, come on, man. Look, from an outsider's perspective, card game players are a weird bunch. And with some of the playmats and field centers I've seen, I can blame them. I also wouldn't let you near my kids. But that's a pity, because most of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Players I've met have been amazing. Of course, you've got your rotten apples like you have in every community, like the one guy that tried to blackmail me on Card Market when I was buying Ojamas, and the overly competitive players as well. But all in all, it's been amazing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I think we can all see that Yu-Gi-Oh!, or at least the concept of it, is difficult to sell to someone because of all of the above. And that's a pity, because it has brought me so much joy over the years, and I would really like to spread that joy some more. But in case I didn't scare you away, you really want to give Yu-Gi-Oh! A shot, I would advise you to subscribe, because I'm going to make some videos that make the new player experience just a little bit easier. By doing so, I hope I can spread this cardboard crack fueled fun that I've been having over the last couple of years, because honestly, it's been a blast. For those of you that can't wait, I would advise the following. So you download Master Duel on your phone or PC. I would probably do it on PC because it's a better playing experience, but you do you. You add someone's friend code, I will enter mine into the description so you can just copy and paste it. And then you add that person as well. And afterwards you get the Sword Soul Core. It's a pretty solid basis on which you can build a pretty strong deck that's quite easy to learn. I will also give you guys some other resources you can look into so you can really hit the ground running, as they say. There is something similar for Duel Links as well, but that's not real Yu-Gi-Oh! Some would argue. If someone's interested, I will also give them my friend code. Because the Blue Eyes deck is pretty fun, honestly. But yeah, Duel Links is kind of pay to win, so... and really grind heavy. Maybe not the best first impression. But yeah. That's been all I had to say today, gamers. Thank you for your time, and tell your homies you love them for me, okay? Bye-bye.